Welcome back, everyone. As you probably guessed from the title of the video, this is the firearm that we are going over here today. This is the American-made PTR 9CT. So what the heck is it? Well, essentially it is a MP5 clone. They make a ton of different variants down in South Carolina, not just MP5 clones, MP5K clones, roller lock rifle clones, etc. They're all about that clone life. And this one here, I believe, is their flagship model as far as I know. And I requested one for review. It was sent out for review, and we've had this one in for months now. So we're finally getting around to it. We have enough rounds through it that we can give you guys a pretty good informed representation of how the gun performs, features, all of those sorts of things. So with that, I suppose we will get into it. When it actually arrives, it arrives in fancy packaging. I know some people like that, some people don't, but it has a very nice hard case with pre-cut foam. That's obviously going to raise the price a little bit, but I know a lot of people do like it. So if you like it, then it's a pro. If you don't like it, then it is a con. This particular model right now ships with just the end plate here. Not the one we have on there, but just a standard end plate and no brace. So as of when I'm recording this, braces have been legal or re-legal or whatever the term for that is, deemed legal again for about a year now. So about 5-6 years ago, PTR was shipping, before all the brace controversy, these with braces from the factory. Right now they're not. If you guys are watching this in a few years, they may start that again, so just kind of know that going forward. However, for the initial testing we did on it, I put the SB Tactical collapsible brace on there. And honestly, I'm just not a fan of that brace. It's not that I'm not a fan of the brace. I'm not a fan of the HK, the actual factory stock that works in a similar manner. The reason for that, just a real quick note on that, is as you can see with the way we have it set up right now, when you actually go to fire it, your cheek is in a natural firing position. And when you have those two prongs coming off the side like that, those two bars, what it causes you to do is to have to cant your head to get to the center line of the rifle. It definitely looks cool though. Like if you're trying to look cool, that is the way to do it. However, we reached out to our friends at Brownells and got this guy sent out here for a brace adapter. So this is the JMac end plate, and you got to make sure if you're getting an end plate like this or an end cap that it has the correct buffer in there. This one has the correct buffer because if you don't, then your carrier will beat itself to death and your gun just won't be as reliable. Then we added the Midwest Industries AR-15 extension, again from the folks over at Brownells, and then I added my own SB Tactical SBA3. This is a much more practical shooting setup than the other one. Both of them work, of course. It just doesn't look as cool like this, but Brownells, of course, is the main channel sponsor, so we appreciate them sending this out. And if you guys are interested in anything like ammunition, firearms accessories, gunsmithing accessories, ammunition, I think I said that, magazines, whatever, check Brownells out. They have all of that over there for great prices, and they are good folks as well. So continuing on forward with the actual pistol itself, we're going to kind of work the bottom piece here first and then come up to the top and work our way out. It does not come with the Magpul selector that we have there. We actually have a full video on installing that if you guys are interested on how to do it, but I do think it is one of the biggest upgrades you can do for most MP5 variants, not so much this one. So this one actually comes with a safety that you can reach with your thumb without shifting your grip. Most of them do not. Magpul one makes it just that much easier. And the lower portion itself is made out of polymer. It has their newer style grip module here. So this is like a modern MP5 grip. Some of the earlier ones had the like A2 style finger grooves on there. I do like this. It's very comfortable. It's very ergonomic. I am a fan of it for sure. One thing about this is that it is a single pin gun. I might have to do a full breakdown of what that means one day in a video, but to save you guys 20 minutes of discussion, there are pros and cons to that in terms of how the guns can be configured, at least according to ATF guidance. So what this allows, without having that pin up front and only having one pin in the rear, is it allows them to do some stuff inside the gun without being violative of ATF regulations. The main one is that the carrier itself is tungsten filled and it is actually a full auto profile carrier. My personal opinion, the full auto profile carrier, generally speaking, is a little bit more reliable than the semi-auto. That's just based on literally decades of shooting these guns through thousands and thousands of rounds. I do think there's a reason HK designed it the way they did, and I think it's a little bit more reliable. The downside is we have the single pin instead of the two pin. Two pin, of course, is clone correct, and just clone correct is cool. So there's that. In terms of actual function, that is nothing but a good thing in my opinion. I have zero issues with that at all. Continuing to the trigger itself, let's go ahead and clear this little guy here and make sure we are clear. And we are, and discuss the trigger here. So basically the trigger is just like every other MP5 out there. It's not good. So we have a little bit of play there, and then a lot of motion where there should be a break, a lot of creep, I should say. The reset is very good on the MP5. I'm a fan of that. But this right here, that's your wall. That's the start of the wall. And then it breaks right about 9 pounds on my scale, so it is not a lightweight trigger at all. In terms of magazine release, we have both options there. So we have the paddle that you probably just saw me use, and then we also have the, I guess we'll call it AR style mag release that nobody uses, and I really don't know why. I don't use it either, but it is functional if you can actually reach it, which I can, but for whatever reason, I never use it. I don't know why. Continuing on to the left side of the receiver there, you guys can see that we do have this sling attachment point, which again, of course, is going to be clone correct if you guys are into that. Continuing on to your upper receiver, your rear sight there is that castle style diopter. Obviously you can rotate it out to switch your sight picture, how refined you want it, I guess you'd say. I do like that. I do like the fact that the welds on it are very nice. You guys should be seeing some photos on there, but very even. That is one thing that I think differentiates MP5s, the clones at least, amongst the different options that are out there. The weld cleanliness, if you will, is something that people always talk about. In this one, the welds look good. You guys should see videos, should see photos of up close and personal how those welds look throughout the video. And in my opinion, they look very good. One thing about the PTR versus, again, some other competitive options that I do like is that the optics rail itself is a 1913 rail, and it is mounted directly and welded to the top of the receiver. So pros and cons of that. Pros, of course, is that it is extremely solid. You don't have to buy an optics mount if you want to mount an optic, which could save you money compared to some of the other competitors out there. The con of it is the fact that you can't, like if you wanted to use like an aim point micro mount, for example, with a low mount on there, you can't do that. So you have to be a little bit higher. So in most cases, not all, most cases you are not going to get a co-witness with your red dot optic. The red dot on there is from Novus Precision, for anybody wondering. Very good little dot. And then continuing on forward, we do have our barrel, of course, which is under there. This is a departure as well from some of the competitive options out there. This barrel itself is nitrided, and it does have a tri-lug out there at the end, and it is threaded. So threaded for adding your suppressors, as well as the tri-lug for adding your suppressors. Again, it's very different from most of your MP5 clones out there. Most of them are going to be using a Coldhammer forged chrome line barrel. Should also note this barrel is fluted as well. So what that does is it helps with the extraction and ejection of the gun, because when it actually fires, that delayed blowback system kicks into play. And I suppose we should talk about that before we go any further, because I'm sure there are folks out there that don't know anything about the MP5. So the operating system on this gun is pretty cool. So we have our bolt, which you guys should see photos of here, and that bolt has two little rollers on there, and they lock into place when the gun is in battery, and when they unlock, they delay it, the actual reciprocation of the bolt itself during the firing cycle. So what that does is a couple things. Versus a traditional blowback style gun, it allows you to have much smaller bolt mass itself. So the actual mass that's reciprocating back and forth in the gun is less than it would otherwise be. And it just also makes it just a little bit softer because it's not blowing back at once. So you have a combination of less mass, and then that mass also coming back in a more smooth fashion, if you will, if that makes sense. And that makes the MP5s and their clones some of the softest shooting guns out there. Additionally, the weight doesn't hurt either. The weight on this one, with no accessories on there, is just a hint over 5 pounds, so it is not a lightweight gun. All that combined with the 9mm cartridge and that operating system make it just very smooth to shoot. It's a pleasure to shoot for sure. There's a reason people call these, the actual full auto versions anyway, the Cadillac of machine guns. I would agree with that. But getting back to the point I started out with, that fluting in the chamber, what it does is it allows some gases to go around the actual cartridge casing and just gives it a little bit of a nudge, if you will, to get out of the chamber and start getting out of the gun, so that way the next round can come into place. Accuracy on this gun is exceptional. MP5s in general, the modern ones, that say like any MP5 that's been made since the 90s, just in my experience, they're very accurate. and their clones. So this one here, typically when we shoot groups with pistols, or pistol caliber carbines, if you will, on this channel, we actually do it at 25 yards because I think that's more realistic of what they're capable of in terms of real world accuracy. This one, we push it out to 50 yards, and with Minuteman munitions, 147 grain full metal jacket, I got 2 groups that were right at 3 inches. So that's ball FMJ ammo. So that's pretty impressive in my opinion. Is it going to Would it be impressive rather if it was like a rifle cartridge? No, but for 9mm, I will take that all day long with a red dot and me behind it. And this trigger especially, I think that accuracy is pretty impressive. That gives you a 6-inch group at 100 yards. You can do a lot with that in terms of real world capabilities. So there is that. Continuing on, we do have our charging handle. So one thing to talk about on the MP5 that kind of sucks compared to modern guns is going to be just the handling characteristics of it. So essentially, you can pull back and lock it in that locked groove right there. And then as you guys can see, your bolt is locked to the rear. The gun does not have a last round bolt hold open because MP5's never had that. But if you were to actually load it, you'd put your magazine in like so, and then push pull, make sure it's in there, which we will talk about here in just a second. And then at this point, you can either pull down, let your bolt go forward, or of course, you can do the famous HK slap, but that is cumbersome to do in a stressful situation versus like in an AR-15, for example, that obviously is a superior manual of arms. I don't really think there's any doubting that. I'm sure someone will argue about that in the comments section, but just objectively, it is not. So there is that. One thing that also differentiates the PTR versus other competitive options is going to be the handguard. So it comes with the M-LOK handguard from the factory. Most of your clones out there, you'll have to buy that if you want that capability. And if you want the ability to mount lights, lasers, etc., all of those sorts of things, you will want that because the original triangle handguard will not get it done. We have it mounted up here with a Olight Mini on there on a Magpul mount. The reason for that, guys, is one thing that kind of stinks about the MP5 design is right here you have this cross bolt, and that will actually impede a lot of like 45-degree offset mounts. So you kind of have to get your light out at the 90-degree angle. There are other mounting solutions, I am aware, but for most of your common M-LOK mounts out there, that is something you're going to run into. The other way you can do it is mount it on the opposite side of the gun and use some sort of tape switch. There's a lot of guys that do that. However, if you watch this channel, you will know I hate tape switches. So I try to avoid them whenever I can. And for me, this is a perfectly usable system. When you're on the gun, I have no issue actually activating the light. It works just fine for me. So that's how I set it up. We've got a couple things to mention here before we close this video out. I should mention this week, this will be our Mug Club video, meaning that this will be a free video on Rumble and YouTube, and then we're gonna go over to Mug Club where we make exclusive content. 1 video a week from me. However, there's a lot of other creators that are making content on a much more frequent basis than that. You guys should see their images here on the screen. And of course, it is also ever evolving. But if you guys are interested in checking out that content, that is censorship free. I don't have to worry about showing you how to take apart a firearm or something like that and being demonetized. Check out Mug Club for that. There should be a discount code here on your screen that will get you guys a free month with your membership over there. So this week, we're going to be talking about the new Canic pistol, the TP9 MCL, Mate MCL, versus the new HK, the CC9. A lot of people ask me to compare them, so we will compare them over there on Mug Club this week. All right, getting back into the firearm itself, one other notable feature on this that we haven't mentioned is going to be that front sight post. So obviously it has the full hood there. A lot of people, especially when they're running optics, don't like that. And the reason is the red dot typically sits right where that front hood is going to be. So when you actually look at it, it quote unquote gets in the way. I understand why people think that. It doesn't bother me at all. If you're shooting with 2 eyes open, I literally never notice it. If you are a 1 eye closed kind of shooter, then you might notice it and it might be problematic. Just know that it is a design that was designed like 60 years ago. So they weren't thinking red dots at the time, I will tell you that. So that said, that should be all the details of the gun that you guys actually need in terms of information, how it functions, all of those sorts of things. Now we're going to talk about reliability and price point. So reliability on this gun, we had 2 failures, if you will, and it was both with this magazine. So I was very specific to bring this magazine out for this video. I have untold numbers of MP5 magazines, but twice with this mag specific, this is a Zenith magazine, and for whatever reason, the magazine came loose during firing. It might not have been seated. Mag wasn't seated. Huh, mag's not seating. Interesting. Odd. I'm pretty religious about pushing in and pulling out to make sure things like that don't happen, what I just did. So I honestly, I think it's just a magazine tolerance stacking issue with this particular one, because with all of my other MP5 mags, it didn't happen. This would be my number 3 marked Zenith magazine. So that's why you mark your magazines for issues like that. If they pop up, that way you can identify if it's a magazine issue. In this case, I definitely think it was. Other than that, we had 0 issues in terms of reliability of any kind. We're right at about 900 rounds total through this gun. Not a ton, but if you look around, there's guys out there that have really high round counts with these pistols and have pretty good results. So I think that is in line with what you can expect in terms of reliability from the gun. Price point on these, that's where it's going to hurt you a little bit, like it does with most MP5 clones. It's kind of in the middle of the market, honestly. So the MSRP, and again, keep in mind street price is going to be less. The MSRP on this model is coming in right around $1,900-ish dollars, depending on the actual model you get. They offer a couple different variants of it. So street price will be less for sure. There are MP5 clones that are cheaper that are made overseas for sure. Additionally, the HK version of it is going to be right around $3,000. So it's kind of in the middle. But if you want, you know, an American-made MP5 clone, there's really only 2 different companies that I'm aware of outside of like specialty builders out there that are putting them together. And this would be one of them. I think it is a contender for sure. Like we said, we had no issues with it outside of that one magazine. I'm just checking it now because I'm thinking it might pop out at any time. Outside of that one magazine, we had 0 issues with reliability. Fit and finish on the gun is very good. It is, you know, easily as good as any of the competitive options out there as well. So all in all, it seems to be a solid performer. If you guys are looking for an MP5 clone, then I wouldn't hesitate to get one at all. I think that's pretty much it. We will close the video out there. If you guys haven't hit the subscribe button and you like videos like this, make sure you do that. That way it helps you see the videos. Also hit the notification bell if you're on YouTube as well. That supposedly helps you guys see the videos. However, for whatever reason, many of you guys constantly message me saying that you didn't see my videos. So a good way to get around that is to sign up for the email list at the website here on your screen. This email goes out once a month and it has all the videos since the previous month's email went out. So that way there's no big tech giant censoring your eyes from my content. Additionally, you can sign up for the daily deals email. So should this go on stock, magazines, optics, lights, lasers, etc., ammunition, those things go on sale. It will be in the daily deals email. It goes out every day as the name indicates. It has 8 of the best deals that we find around the internet. If the item, whatever it is in the email on that day, it's the cheapest I know of anywhere on the internet, because I've done the price comparisons for you to hopefully save you some time and some money. We also have an SMS service that you guys can sign up for. So if you guys don't check your email, don't want to check your email, which I know is a good bit of you, and you want to get those deals sent into your cell phone message box, then sign up for the SMS service at the website here on your screen. With that, that's pretty much all I got. Thank you all for watching. Look forward to seeing everybody over on Mug Club.